The St. Louis Blues defeated the Dallas Stars, and now 6 game into his head coaching position with the Blues, I think it's fair to say that Drew Bannister might have just saved this team from an awful season. This is all coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues. Here, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's episode, I am going to talk about the fact that the Blues are 5-1 with Benny and how they defeated those Dallas Stars 2-1 last night. The World Juniors was amazing for the St. Louis Blues prospects today, as there were 2 hat tricks, which I will dive into. And of course, looking ahead, what does the future of this team look like, upcoming schedule, and some more thoughts about the future of the Blues since they're playing pretty good hockey. I have a lot of good things that I want to say about them. I do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150. If your team wins, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So the St. Louis Blues won last night 2-1 against those Dallas Stars. And I did a live in-game reaction, I guess you can say, video, because I usually do my pre and post game stuff, and I wanted to do an actual in the game after the second intermission and what I thought. The thing about this Blues team is that they just look strong. Jake Neighbours looks strong. He is a player that I said has really stood out to me. He's been playing significantly good hockey. And you can make the argument that he is probably one of the best forwards on the team. He's always posted by the net. He has good spatial awareness, and his puck control has been phenomenal. The thing with the St. Louis Blues is, and especially because of their win last night, and now increases Drew Bannister's record with the Blues to 5-1. The only loss they had was against the Tampa Bay Lightnings with Drew Bannister, of course. So this brings me to a question. Is Bannister the solution to the Blues' success? Is this team successful because of being under Banny? Or is it just kind of, this is the Blues that we know and love, that they're going to play hard hockey and then sometimes they're going to struggle? I want to know what you think, because right now I think that whatever he's doing is making this team a lot better. I think that him switching up the lineups a little bit. And I'm going to be honest, at first, I did not agree with all the moves that he made. But last night, Joel Hofer was in net. He had 39 saves. That's a career high. Last week, his career high was 36 saves. And it makes you think, this coach, who formerly was the Thunderbirds coach, our AHL team, has come to St. Louis and has really shifted the momentum and the mentality of this team around. And I think that is super important going forward. I am live on YouTube, as I did say. And Groovy says, great win last night. I want to go to a game now all the way from Chicago. And hopefully you get to see those Blues when they're out taking on the Blackhawks. But here's the thing. If the Blues continue to play this way, then I could see them being in the playoffs. And all summer, I said this, that the Blues could potentially be a wild card team. I can't necessarily say I see the Blues, winning the Central, because I don't see that at all. But they've been playing significantly better hockey. I think for some reason, the Blues, at least for me, it's not telling how they're going to be under Bannister for a long time coming. I think that right now they're on a hot streak, which I like. But again, don't forget, in a couple months, it will be the trade deadline. And I suspect some moves get made for the St. Louis Blues. I think that acquiring some younger defenders is a priority, number one. And I've been saying that for a while now. I've been preaching that to the choir, that the Blues really need to get two-way defenders and they need to go get younger players and no more of this no trade clause, okay? I think that Doug Armstrong really screwed over this team money-wise, especially with their cap space because of all their no trade clauses and even some of their contracts. I mean, I know people will point out the Jordan Kyrou contract, and I understand that that is frustrating, but it's not just Kyrou. It is basically the whole team that Armstrong gave these insane contracts to. And I think that once you realize, okay, there's hope, there's future. And I'm going to talk about that coming up with the World Juniors and why there is hope in the future. But I think that there are going to be moves that are going to be made. I talked about the draft yesterday, and I know it's a little early to talk about the draft and to talk about players that I want. But here's the problem. It is this. I want Dickinson. He is a great two-way defender, and I think that he's going to go top 3. Probably one of the best defenders in this draft class. Probably one of the best players in this draft class. I don't think the Blues are going to get him because what's going to happen is St. Louis is going to end up finishing their season pretty well. They're going to probably get like the 12th or 13th draft pick, which is not that good. And they're going to miss out on some more younger talent. And I'm not saying I hate people that are like, oh my gosh, purposely lose. But I'm not wanting the Blues to purposely lose by any means. But it is frustrating when you know that this team is a team that is struggling. I mean, they're the worst on the power play in the NHL. Their defense is trash. There's just a lot of problems with this team. And it gets overshadowed, I think, by their winning. But when you take a deeper look into this team, when you take a deeper look into the problems that they have on the ice and what they're not able to execute, it's evident that they do need some of the talent that are in this draft. So I'm not really sure what I expect the Blues to get from this upcoming draft, but it is a little frustrating in a way knowing that they're not going to get a player that I think would fit in so well here in St. Louis. But again, I would rather my team win. And, you know, it's like a very weird thing. It's like I want the Blues to win. I don't want them to be a team that loses consistently. That's not who I want my team to be. I don't want us to be the Blackhawks, even though I know they have like Connor Bedard, or they're probably going to get a top 3 draft pick again. I don't want us to be the Anaheim Ducks. I don't want us to be, you know, the Blue Jackets. I want us to be the bleeping St. Louis Blues that are a tough hockey team. But with the inconsistency I've been seeing on the ice, firing your coach almost midseason, having some of the worst contracts in the league, I can't say I feel confident about the future of this team with the state that it's in. Now, as I did mention, I'm going to talk about the World Juniors and why that does give me some excitement towards the future. But I'm saying right now, this season, I don't know necessarily if I feel like this is going to be an uber successful season. I think that Drew Bannister has done a great job. And this is where my main focus is. I got a little off topic. Do you think Drew Bannister is a good coach for the Blues? Do you think that he is better than Craig Berube? Do you think that he is fixing all the problems? A part of me wants to say yes because they're winning. But then a part of me wants to say no because it's all about how you coach under adversity. And when the Blues begin going on losing streak, because it's inevitable, it's going to happen. Maybe not, but it's more than likely to happen that the Blues are going to win a couple games. I mean, they're going to lose a couple games in a row. How will Bannister do coaching wise? Will he be able to motivate these guys? Will he be able to make them play more aggressive hockey? The one thing that I didn't like, and I'm going to go back to that Chicago game, was that first 40 minutes where the team just looked slow on the ice. I don't know what Bannister said that got them fired up for the third period, and I wish I knew what he said or what he did or how he motivated these guys. But that's the difference because that team came out for the last 20 minutes looking like a completely new team. And right now, and I'm going to say something, and it might be kind of a hot take, and I'm not a hot take person, but I'm going to say something. So please don't come at me and fight me. Am I the only person that's been a little disappointed with how Shen's been playing this season? I feel like I'm not seeing what I saw out of him last year. I feel like he's been more invisible on the ice, and I hate that I'm saying that because I know that Shenny is our captain, and I was so excited for him. I'm still excited for him in this opportunity, But am I the only person that kind of thinks that he's blended in a little too much? I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow, I think, because I want to break down why I feel that way. But I had to put it out there because it's been something that's been heavy on my noggin. It's been bothering me. And I wanted to address it. But I'm not trying to like create controversy here. And I'm not trying to create like a hot take. It's just an observation that I've had when watching the Blues play as of lately. And again, I hate that I'm thinking that way. So I know a couple of you agree with me on this one, and I hate that I had to even say that out loud. But yeah, it's definitely been a little bit bothersome for me, but you know, it is what it is. All right. It's almost the halfway point of the season, Blues fans. And, this year we've had a new coach. We fired our old coach. It's Robert Thomas season. It's Jake Neighbours season. A lot is going on. And regardless of where we are in the current standings, I want to remind you that you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because of Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. And this is where players like a Jordan Kyrou, a Jake Neighbours, a Robert Thomas, even a Marco Scandella, because he scored last night, can help you win big. All you have to do is go on Sleeper, predict some of the guys that I told you about, and if they will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Blues fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail in your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Okay. So it is obviously that time of the year where it is the World Juniors. And I have to say, I am so proud to be a St. Louis Blues fan. I think the thing about the Blues is that they are one of the most exciting teams for prospects. And there is a lot to be stoked about. And today we had 2 Blues players, Blues draft prospects, score hat tricks. So Snuggie scored a hat trick, and it was absolutely phenomenal, his hat trick. And here's the thing about Jimmy is that he is the future of this team. He scored a natural hat trick just 12 minutes and 36 seconds into Team USA's 11-3 win over Switzerland. And here's the thing. We selected Snuggerud 23rd overall in the 2022 NHL draft. And he was a sophomore at Minnesota. And I think that when he's done playing college, he's going to come here. I really do think that. I just think that he is an absolute phenomenal player. I think that he has a great shot. And, he's a good guy. He said, I want to give all my credit to my lines mates that got me the puck and I fired it in, and they were there for me the whole period. So he took home the player of the game for his performance, and he also had another assist in today's game. So here's the thing. I cannot fathom how great of a player he's going to be, how great of an asset he is going to be for the St. Louis Blues and what he's going to bring to this team. I think that we could potentially see him this season. I have been saying that for a while now, that my boy Jimmy, he could be playing very soon wearing that blue note. So I am excited for him, and that just solidified to me my excitement about Jimothy. I'm making puns with his name. But another hat trick that we had today is Otto Stenberg. Oh my goodness. Otto Stenberg. he had a hat trick in today's game as well. And again, I know what you're thinking. Haley, what is going on right now? Here's the thing. Hat tricks are definitely the new it thing for the St. Louis Blues' prospect guys. So Stenberg was the 25th pick in this current draft, and he played absolutely performance. And Sweden won 5-0. But wow, the fact that he was able to play in front of his home crowd, because again, the World Juniors are in Sweden, and he got a hat trick, again, unbelievable. And when you think about the World Juniors, you're thinking about the best, players from each country. So Stenny I'm going to call him Stenny. That's my new nickname for him now. Absolutely phenomenal. And I am really excited for Otto. By the way, Theo Lindstein, who we also drafted, had an assist in that game. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. So I just wanted to point that out there, that it's one of those things where I want to highlight our guys, our prospects, because this is the future of the Blues, and this is where the excitement needs to be. I can't tell you how many people I saw on social media today were like, "Oh my gosh, we want him, we want him," and I'm like, "Okay, well, we have him," and I just thought it was really cool. So, yeah. I see that a lot of you have joined the chat. What's up? That's why I love doing these live, so we can all interact and talk about the Blues, become friends here on this podcast of Locked on Blues. Okay. So I'm going to also tell you about something else that I think is very cool, and that's FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/locked on and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. And tonight is the last Thursday night football game of the season, which is insane. I also hate Thursday night football because I just think that it's some of the worst matchups. But it's always fun to bet on some football. And as the season's kind of winding down, this is your kind of like last opportunity to get those football bets in. Okay, so when I'm saying looking ahead, I think that this is a very interesting question that Rob asked me on the YouTube chat. Haley, do you think the Blues trade Binnington? Because I do. It's an interesting comment. I think Benner is a fantastic goalie. I think that sometimes he has his ups and his downs, but I don't know if they're going to trade him. I don't know what they're going to get out of him. I don't know what the purpose would be. That's always, I mean, it's always a possibility that any player could be traded, but I don't know. That's a really interesting one. I know that Joel Hofer has been stepping up, but I wouldn't feel confident with Hofer as my starting goalie. He's had some good games. I just don't think that there's much of a purpose in trading Binnington right now, unless you're getting something significant out of it. I don't know. Like, if, and then on the chat, and Vic, oh, I don't know how to say that. I'm going to call you E. Said maybe a late first rounder. And listen, if the trade is worth it, then absolutely. But with this draft class, the main focus is being in the top 6. Last year I said top 10. This year I'm saying top 6 because this isn't as talented as a draft class as last season's. And I'm not putting down this draft class by any means. I think that they're still very talented. I've been looking at these prospects, but last year was abnormally different. So if you were able to accumulate something really good out of Jordan Binghamton, then sure, why not? But right now, I don't know necessarily if the value would be worth it from trading him. But it's definitely something to keep in mind that I don't think anyone's safe. I don't. Obviously, if you have your no trade clause, then that's a different scenario. But if you don't have one of those no trade clauses, then yeah, you're not so safe. But it would be interesting to see what the Blues do. I would love to have multiple first round draft picks this year. I will be at the NHL draft, by the way. I'm going to be attending, representing Locked on Blues. So I am really excited to be there, get all that live trade action out in Viva Las Vegas in the Sphere. So I'm hoping for the Blues' sake and for my own sake that we have multiple first round picks. But we'll see. It's the luck of the draft, as they say, kind of, maybe. I mean, yes, I know it's like the luck of the draft, but I don't know. I'm saying I don't know because I don't know. I don't know what Armstrong's going to do. I don't have much trust in Dougie A anymore. Army has let me down so much that I don't really know if I can trust him. So for me, at least, it's a little hard to say, yeah, I think Army's going to do right because I don't know about that. So let's talk about where the Blues are at right now. So in the Central Division, the St. Louis Blues have 37 points. They're in sixth place. And to break down the Central, I always like to do this because I want you to know what's going on. Leading the Central with 45 points is the Colorado Avalanche, followed by the Winnipeg Jets with 44, the Dallas Stars, who we just beat, with 44, the Arizona Coyotes with 38, the Nashville Predators with 38, the Blues with 37, the Wild with 36, and then the Blackhawks with 23. This is a very competitive division, and I think that anything can happen. Obviously, if you're the Chicago Blackhawks, not much can happen. But I do think that for all these other teams, they're all kind of still in it in a way. So it's still very early. And don't forget, when the Blues won the Stanley Cup, they were in last place at the end of January. So I don't feel necessarily threatened at all by what's to come from this team. I think that the Blues' biggest competition is themselves. And I've been saying that all season. It's the Blues versus the Blues. So I think that they can still be a contending team, but the Blues will be taking on the who will they be taking on next? That's a good question. Oh yeah, it'll be the Colorado Avalanche. So yay, fun. I told you this was going to be a tough schedule. So I honestly cannot believe that it is December 28th and we're about to be in a new year. So that kind of throws me off a little bit, but here's the thing. We'll be at Enterprise. I'm expecting it to be Jordan Binghamton and net. And just so you know, this season, when these two teams played each other on November 1st, the Avalanche won 4-1. And then the Blues on November 11th, 11-11, defeated the Avalanche 8-2. And that was a fantastic game. That was hat trick game. I believe that was Braden Shen that got the hat trick and Bushnevich, if that's the game I'm thinking of. I think that's the game. No, that was definitely the game because I was against Colorado. So it is going to be a competitive game. I think the Blues play a lot better when they're going against teams that are significantly better than them. The Blues tend to play down to teams that are worse. And that's what's so frustrating is the Blues have so much potential to be such a good team consistently. And when they play teams that are not as good and not as strong, not as dominant, they don't seem to be as competitive. And you need to maintain that competitiveness throughout the whole game. Does it matter who the Blues start at goalie? Obviously, it matters. I think that Joel Hofer had been playing phenomenal. He's been playing great hockey. But I do think tomorrow night that it is going to be Jordan Binghamton in net. Now, Benner, I know that it's been a little bit of a rough season, but you want to put in your best goalie against one of the best teams in the league. But again, you put in your backup goalie against one of the best teams in the league, and you still were able to maintain a win. But I would feel confident with Hofer in net. And that's so much different than I thought at the beginning of the season. I remember at the beginning of the season, I was like, oh, you should send him back down to the Thunderbirds. And now I'm like, wait, this kid is playing some really good hockey. I mean, to come off of having a career high of 36 saves last week and now having a career high of 39 saves this week, I think that I would feel confident. Whenever we play against a really good team, of course I get nervous because I don't want us to be the team that gets blown out because I feel like that happens so much. And it's like we can't lose these close games. It always has to be like these big blowout games where it's really embarrassing. And luckily this year I have yet to see Jordan Binghamton have a major freak out. Usually in the past he has. He's like yelled, he's freaked out, he's got into fights. He hasn't done that this season. So I'm hoping to keep it that way because when Bennington gets upset, it it's not fun and it's really embarrassing. So, I don't know. Either way, I'm excited to watch the Blues tomorrow night, and it's nice having hockey back. I understand the whole Christmas break, but it sucks when there's no hockey. And unfortunately, the Winter Classic, and I don't know if I even talked about this, it is the Golden Knights and the Kraken. I don't know how I feel about that. Your two expansion teams. I feel like it's been getting shoved so much down our throats, and I just don't care. Like, I just want other teams. I know that the Knights just won the cup, but like seriously, I feel like it's always Vegas, 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 Seattle, Seattle, Seattle. Why? Why can't we switch it up a little bit? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that's annoyed about this Winter Classic. I just and it's in Seattle, like, no, like, oh, not a hockey city. Maybe it is. I don't wanna come at the Kraken, that's not what I'm doing. I'm a little bitter, but it's okay. Yeah. I just wanted to voice my opinion on that one. So, with that being said, I will talk to you tomorrow for an Are We Feeling Blue Friday, and until then, let's go Blues.